for the last, kind of 6 months after our incident, essentially we focused on, how can we have an exemplary build system? How can we make sure our products are built with safeguards in place to make sure that, an injection into the build supply chain, could not occur again, or was extremely difficult to occur. So, that's where we came up with really our secure by design for software development models. Some of the tenets really help us with shift left, but first off, right, we wanted developers to, have fine control over what they do, right? Have flexibility, have speed, still be able to, run fast and build things quickly, but not have any control over how things are validated and secured. So that's one of the key parts of the whole program. So with that, we started developing really that next gen build system, and that has 4 tenets across all of the environments. First tenet is base system on ephemeral operations, meaning that you recreate everything every time. So nothing is left in a static background that can be utilized. So everything in code. So when you look at shift left, everything is now in code. Everything is in those ephemeral operations, in code, built when they're needed to be, and not static. So not being static is really incredibly important. Second tenet is make sure the product can be built deterministically, which is hard in a lot of ways. So normally when you build a product once, it gets a checksum. You build a product a second time, it gets a checksum that's different because time changed. So we had to come up with ways to make sure that we could take time out of the equation during builds. And by taking time out of the equation, you get an equal checksum for each time you build with the same set of bits. So that's an important part for the third component, which is build in parallel. So where I said before that developers would have better speed, better flexibility, but not be able to do validation and the security of the build, that's accomplished by multiple pipelines. So we have a developer pipeline. It does very little checks, right? It sits there, comes back real fast. The developer has access to it. They push a button. They don't really see what happens in the back end, but they get a build out the back end quickly. Then I have a validation pipeline. That validation pipeline runs all of our QA tests. That pipeline could take hours to run. Then I have a security pipeline that runs all my security and validation security tools in the background in my security check. Now, no one person has access to all 3 pipelines. So if somebody wanted to circumvent our security of our builds again, they would need collusion amongst 3 people. If we build 3 times, we compare the results and make sure the results are deterministic, so we can check the results between each of those 3 builds and they should be identical. If they're not identical, we go back and say, oh, wait a second, something happened, they're not identical, something went wrong in the system. So that gives us a lot of really kind of assumed breach model inside of development, saying even if I did have an insider in play, even if I had a corrupt machine or corrupt system in play, it would need to be 3 times. It would need to be, rebuilt every time. So it would need to be there. So a lot of those steps just make us more resilient to types of attack. Third one is record every step and make sure that those recorded steps can't be tampered with, so that we have an accurate record of history and an accurate record of activity. So those are the 4 tenets.